Hello and welcome to our case study on delighting Vodafone's Turkey's customers on Agile transformation. Let me first introduce you what Vodafone Turkey is. They have come into the market in Turkey in May 2006. By now, they have become the second largest mobile company in Turkey with 20.6 million subscribers. They are also the second largest international direct investment in Turkey, which is plus 12 billion Turkish lira. Vodafone has 3,300 employees, 1,200 retailer stores and 43,000 stakeholders involved in them. Vodafone as a global company, as a brand, loves change, either naturally or creating it themselves, keeping in mind their tagline, power to you. When Vodafone came into the market, they tried to survive in the market and establish the position what we've just mentioned. But with the market pressure arising, they've come into an agile transformation methodology, which we will be discussing under our presentation. What is Agile? Agile can be explained as an ability to move and think quickly and easily, or in other words, to move in a quick, coordinated manner. For Vodafone, this meant producing a working quality telecom software, equipment and a support service in short, fast increments. That means a continuous quality delivery. What is Agile transformation? That's being or becoming changing character or condition of one of the agilities. For Vodafone, that meant transforming its telecommunications character, condition and nature to a one that is able to embrace and thrive in a flexible, collaborative and a self-organizing, fast-changing environment, meeting its time to market pressure. Time to market pressure has been the key for Vodafone in surviving its market. Accept and implement fast, meeting the changing requirements was the key issue they identified. Well, Vodafone, are you agile? Let's look at how did they do the agile transformation in Vodafone Turkey. Let me invite my colleague Charita to take you through the rest of the presentation.
Thank you, Rani. Let's see what Vodafone Turkey has done in their agile transformation. Vodafone Turkey has been implemented Scrum methodology, which made dramatic exit, departure from a traditional waterfall management system. Scrum is a rugby analogy for development methodology that allows team to self-organize and make changes quickly in the agile transformation phenomenon. Scrum is not easy. It has to practice. It requires a lot of courage and commitment. Let's talk about the roles in the Scrum. There's a product owner who is responsible for ROI and focused on what, then how. Then there is a Scrum Master who protects the team, manages the process, manages the process of how information is exchanged. Then there is, of course, the Scrum development team, which is a cross-functional group of people collaborates and attempts to build potentially shippable, sellable product at every increment of the sprint. Let's look at the big picture of this Scrum framework, which has been implemented in Vodafone Turkey. Well, this is, as I mentioned, this is the product owner who gets the inputs from the executive stakeholders, customers, and then in order to make a proper finished work. And he is looking at what more than how. So then the team, which led by Scrum Master, who does the daily Scrum meetings and who leads the weekly sprint. And basically, in this, actually, there is a sprint planning as well, and backlogs being taken to do the proper sprint retrospective. So a sprint retrospective is actually for educational purpose mostly, just to see how the process has been worked rather than the product. So why Agile, and then benefits expected by Vodafone. Vodafone Turkey wanted an Agile transformation as it needed to shorten T2M pressure and enhance quality in order to improve productivity, which then may lead to competitive business advantages. So, and then they were expecting to reduce cost, risk, and short cycle time, improved quality, and improved security. So, so they have actually used this for their Agile vision before the beginning of the exercise, which says delivering the leading products to the market with the best T2M and quality in order to provide competitive advantages to the business to enhance customer delight. What Vodafone has done? Let me call upon my colleague Sudarshi to talk about it further. Thank you.
Thank you, Charita. Let's go through the step it has been implemented. The roadmap. The first one is pilot Agile, and the second step is scaling Agile, and the third one it has been decided enterprise adaptations. Each step has designed with the goal, and the first step, pilot step, there are certain goals has formed, which is explore the potential benefit of Scrum for Vodafone TRIT. Decide whether to plan to scale it in a bigger transformation or not. As well as in scaling step, there are some goals has been set, which is establish the autonomous organization unit and to create the protected area to grow the agile culture, as well as position this unit as a role model. In the same way, in the enterprise adaptation step, there have been a step goal which is transfer agility in better across the other organizational unit. How the Vodafone used agile transformation, which we have already discussed, the 3 step, which is pilot agile, which has been done through the forming Scrum team. The Scrum team has formed for 7 members, including that has been selected B-type business unit. B-type business unit means mostly the required 1 day 50 manpower works, as well as it has been created to enhance create work, teamwork, as well as enhance transparency. When it comes to the scale in Agile, the Scrum team has been increased. Number of Scrum team has been 6 to 8, as well as number of members in each team it is 8. And in this stage, they have selected C-type business unit to create a teamwork as well as transparency, and in addition to that, to standardize the quality of the work within the each unit. In this stage, they have formed the Agile solution. In this Agile solution, they are divided into 2 steps, which is customer as well as enterprise business unit. In the 3rd step, enterprise adaptation, Agile solution has already come from that 2 stage. It's at the beginning pilot Agile as well as scaling Agile has been successful completely, and then the 3rd step, they have been using the role model Scrum board as well as the business unit. It has been taken the both type of business, which is B and C type of business. In this stage, the focus was transparency, empower Scrum Masters, as well as the increase the communication. With this communication stage, they want to make sure that at Agile transformation within the organization to be communicate and empower to make Agile solution is spread with the all other unit in the organization. Achievement. In this each step, there are certain achievements they have been shown, which is at the first stage. They have find the significant cost reduction and 3 times faster day of work and 2.4 time of business demand increase, and successful of pilot step support to agile transformations. And the second step, there will be certain achievement, which is scaling step. 2 times delivery increase of with Scrum, as well as 10 times less defect of customer complaints. In the same stage, they have done the Agile solution to protect and grow the Agile culture and build the body of knowledge support to Agile adaptations. I'll call Rishin proceed with the balanced presentations about the challenge and how it has to be done.
Thank you, Sudashi. Let's have a look at what type of challenges the company faced before going in for Agile. When they were deciding to go for Agile process, one thing that they really faced was the amount of incomplete and critical projects which are running in parallel throughout the organization. You call it for sales, for commercial, for finance, even to some extent IT and all the departments. They were having critical projects running in parallel which they were unable to complete due to the shortage of staff and the challenges faced with it. And when this happens, one of the biggest problems for the project management is to prioritize these applications. They have to satisfy all, because all critical departments, they want their systems not today, yesterday. So at this point, they were looking at Agile process to change their process in order to get this process done faster and the systems to be ready much faster than what they are right now. One of the biggest challenges they faced was because at that point of time, all the life cycle departments like the development, testers, project management, DBA, all were decentralized. That's a conventional method. So they had to pick from these teams and they had to bring them under one roof or inside one room so that they can work as a scrum in one unit. When they were doing this, they found, and they're going in for a new process, so they want the permanent staff to come into this category. What they found was, recently there are a lot of outsourcing which has taken place within the organization as per a decision by the management. So here they have to depend on a lot of outsourced staff. So they have to pick and choose each individual member from the permanent category so that they can keep this knowledge and the experience which they'll gain through this process for their future when they go corporate-wise. The other thing was, the Agile process was completely a new process for them. There was no trained staff with them. So they had to train their staff about the transformation, about Agile transformation and how to go about it. We need the proper coaches. They didn't have in-house coaches. They had to bring the coaches from outside. Due to this process taking time, there are a lot of delays that they were facing at the initial stage. Now, from this point to continue, let me call upon Kirti to explain about the success and the pitfalls and continue from.
Thank you, Rizni. Let's look at the key success factors of the Agile implementation at Vodafone Turkey. The first success factor that we have identified is the strong management sponsorship, especially the CXO level stakeholders, the sponsorship for the project. The second one we have seen is the good collaboration between the teams and the leaders. And in this case, we have to talk about forming good leadership and also giving them authority to manage their responsibilities. The third key success factor is the partnership with external parties. Another success factor that we have identified is the understanding the organizational culture. For any project to succeed, it is very important that we identify the organizational culture and we align our implementation approach to match with the organizational culture. Next, we have to also look at some of the pitfalls that Vodafone Turkey should avoid going forward. The first pitfall that the Vodafone Turkey should avoid is not to educate the stakeholders. The organizations generally in Agile implementation will train the Agile team, the transformation teams, the Scrum teams, but they sometimes forget to train or create awareness among the organization at large. The next one is the fear of failure. Generally, organizations don't like to fail, but it is a mindset change that we need to do in the organization, because this is a new approach that they are trying out, and the organizational culture should be changed to accept the failures and everybody should understand a failure of a sprint is not the end of the world. Another pitfall to avoid is adding very high-end or like very expanded goals. Now we are starting to implement this agile transformation in the organization. So let's start small. And the pitfall that we have identified that they need to avoid is, or rather the last two, is connected to each other. The product owners or stakeholders should give the freedom to the engineering teams to come up with the solution without influencing them too much. So the last but not the least, the very important thing that we need to highlight is the continual improvement of this whole agile transformation process in the organization. So we have identified this PDA cycle that everyone is aware about, is known to. That is plan, do, check, act cycle, and we have gone one step further to recommend to Vodafone Turkey this framework, the continual service improvement framework that is developed by ISACA USA. ISACA stands for Information System Audit and Control Association. So they have come up with a nice framework for organizations, especially IT department, to have a continual improvement process. So for an example, if you have identified certain goals for the organization, for an example, if you want to increase the success rate of the Scrum sprints, or like if you want to increase the customer delight, and then you can identify by doing a gap analysis where you stand now as opposed to the position that you want to be, and then you identify the gap, and then you define a plan to fill the gap, and then you execute the plan, and then you monitor and measure the success, and then finally you do a final evaluation to identify where you have achieved, what you have achieved. So finally, I would like to hand over to Anjana to come up with the conclusion. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kirti. So our team has taken you through the introduction to agile transformation, what has taken place in Vodafone due to how they set it up, what are the key challenges they face, how did they overcome it, what sort of strategies was used, what sort of pitfalls were identified. So what's next, or what could be the way forward? So our team got together and did a bit of brainstorming and also some benchmarking to see how they did the agile transformation versus what could be done better going forward. So we wanted to list it down into two different levels within the organization. First, strategically, looking at things from a helipad view, what could be done better. So the first thing which we thought which could be done more is the key stakeholder involvement. Like one of my colleagues explained already, they have the top buy-in or the sponsorship from the top management. But in terms of educating and communicating to the key stakeholders involved and getting their input more, because now they're looking at an enterprise-wide implementation. So that would need a lot of expertise to come in, both within as well as outside the organization. So this is an area which Vodafone Turkey could target or focus more in going forward. And the other point which we thought would be a good thing from a strategic point of view is to change in the mindset, or having this entrepreneurial kind of mindset within the organization, or improving the culture, because Vodafone Turkey, first of all, is a telecommunication organization, as well as like a leading telco, where is an innovative driver of change, innovation. So taking risk and not having fear to failure is a key thing which has to come across the board within the organization. So next, looking at things operationally, which we thought is that Vodafone Turkey should come up with a framework for their implementations across the organization, what each process policy should be doing and the scope of each project and how it can be deployed across the organization, which will be driven through consistency as well as per best practices developed in-house. And the next thing that we thought that they should be concentrating is on arriving at a responsibility matrix. This is mainly to overcome the pitfalls they have faced during this pilot implementation across the organization, where assigning the responsibility and then accountability, as well as defining who should get involved at what point and what would be the expected deliverables. So this can be achieved, which we thought is by defining a proper responsibility matrix. So with this, we conclude our presentation, and thank you very much.